Listen, y'all know I don't be coming out on weekends. I don't come out on weekends, but I had to pop out for this. So, hi everybody. I'm AV if you don't know me, but I give you guys a little bit of tea, a little bit of legal, and I break it down for everyday people. That's what we do here, right? So if you're new, hit the subscribe button. So I am getting ready for Vid Summit. I've announced that to so many of you guys. So, I've been like kind of taking a break from posting and really focusing on that. Then somebody sent me a message yesterday and they're like, AV, you gotta watch this. And I'm like, what is it? Allegedly, it is it's not even allegedly, it's the Young Thug interview. This is the first time he's done an interview since he has been released. And you guys know we covered that trial extensively here on this channel. So here's what happens. Young Thug does this interview yesterday. He has not done any interviews since October of 2024, since he was released. It is on the Big Facts Network. Now, it's a 2-hour interview. I watched it. Okay. I watched the whole thing this morning and we've got some notes. We've got some notes. So we're going to walk through it because the big focus of it is plea deals, right? He talks about the trial, his feelings about everything. Now, I respect content creators, so I'm not going to play clips from that interview. I encourage you guys to watch it yourself. I got through it, even though it's 2 hours, 3 hours. Here's the thing about YouTubers. We watch everything in high speed, okay? Like everything's on 2.0. So let's talk about it. So he talks about a few things, and I do have some plea deals that we are going to look at together. I can show you guys that from a legal perspective because the last 2 weeks have been pretty busy. Number one, you're seeing all these jail phone calls from Young Thug being released, right? And they have been all up in your feed. I know it because they're in my feed on every platform. They're everywhere. All I'm seeing are jail phone calls, and there seem to be new ones that are just coming out every day. It's like, what? And then it's like he's talking about these people. All of those phone calls were released. Now, who is he talking to on those phone calls? He's talking to his girlfriend, Mariah the Scientist, right? They're just talking. I think something came out about Glorilla, something about Drake. Like he's just talking, right? So all these phone call recordings are starting to be released. And, some of the people that are, because I'm not into the street stuff, I'm really not. Like I'm really just doing the legal thing. Okay. So I've been watching it, seeing all the jail phone calls come out, now 2 days ago, Young Thug releases a song. That song is called Closing Argument. It's fine. I'm going to show you guys the lyrics to that song. But he's basically calling people rats. So we're going to take a look at the lyrics together so you can see on paper what he has said about people that he knows. Okay. He's calling people rats. Now, then you see videos of people calling Young Thug a rat because he's encouraging his brother Unc to take a plea deal. And, people are just like looking at him a little funny, right? So he does this interview to clear up all that stuff, right? It gets worse. After the song drops, I think yesterday or today, like there's another jail phone call where he's calling another girl and it looked like he might have been cheating on Mariah the Scientist. I don't know. He's just all over the feed. There's just all types of stuff happening. And it's like, Thug, what is going on? So as y'all come in, please hit the like button because we'll be here for about an hour. I just want to go through the plea deals that he's talked about. I'm going to catch you up to speed on what he talked about in the interview, some of the contradictions, and we're going to look at the plea deals, not all of them, but a majority of them, because there was a huge point that he made about that YSL is a gang, is like line number one on a majority of these plea deals. And a lot of people had to attest to that. They had to, in order for them to get their plea or to plead out, they would have to agree that YSL was a gang. So we're going to talk all about that stuff, but I just cannot believe all that is coming out. So allegedly there are going to be more jail phone calls. Just prepare for it. Just prepare for it. Real quick, before we jump into it, shout out to Kelly Cal, our favorite 3L with the 20 says, what's the tea, sis? It's always something. I mean, that for the most part is the week. Let me go through what he said in the actual interview because you're not going to believe it. Shout out to Drew Beats with the 5 says, yeah, AV, Young Thug should hire you for his PR. He just can't shut up. And like he's laughing his ass off here. Here, he says, by the way, who gains by releasing these jail phone calls? You guys know I used to work in communications, right? Like probably the last decade, 10 years in PR, public relations, while I was going to law school. So I have an affinity for watching people. You know, heck, I went through my own thing this summer where I had a bad interview on the channel and I used some PR strategies and eventually the stuff just went down. Like nobody cares, nobody talks about it. I didn't say a word, okay? I didn't say a word. But the shenanigans are real. Now, before I get into what he actually said in the interview, I want to start with the song, okay? So as prep, what I did for y'all, we had to prep for this. I ended up pulling the lyrics to the song so y'all can see it. The song is called Closing Argument. I'm not going to lie, the song slaps, all right? The song is actually lit. Like it's pretty lit. But here is the line in question. Gonna a rat, yak a rat, slug a rat, woody a rat. F that ninja Obama, he's still mad about baby mama. Slime life shorty, make sure you put down your 40. DK, okay, shit, he gay. so Young Thug is like, he's making some pretty strong allegations. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Strong allegations here. Let me remove this. This is what I'm trying to show y'all. Let's stop sharing for a second. It's been a few days. I'm struggle streaming already. Here it is. This is what I was trying to show y'all. So I'll go through it again since I was sharing the wrong thing. Gonna a rat, yak a rat, slug a rat, woody a rat. F that ninja Obama, he's still mad about baby mama. You mad? Slime life shorty, make sure you put down your 40. DK, okay, shit, he gay. I would say I'm stepping, but that's cliche. So those are really the big things that everybody is talking about because he's coming out calling people rats, right? But at the same time, Thug took a plea deal, right? And all these jail phone calls are coming out. So you have all of that happening. Now let's take this down for a second because go through the entire like YSL saga for y'all to really get it, to really understand what's going on here. Now, here's my notes on what he said this morning. After I, watched it this morning. So, couple main characters that he focuses on. Duke Martinez Arnold. I have his plea deal. Yak Gotti. We know Yak. Yak was one of the co-defendants in this case. Gunna, Sergio Kitchens. Gunna is honestly, Gunna's not talking about everything, so that's good. Woody as well. Made some strong allegations on Woody, right? And the core of this interview, I actually really liked the person that was conducting the interview, right? Like I think he did a good job. Bank is a host. Bank was asking some really good questions, some targeted questions to really get some answers out of that. What is he thinking? Why are you saying all these things on the phone? They started there. Like you're on the phone, you're talking to Mariah, but y'all are talking about all these different people, all these different topics, and he's like, hey, it's not an excuse, but I have been in jail for a long time, and all I'm doing is talking. There's nothing to do. I'm in a cell for 23 hours, and then I'm out for an hour a day, right? I cannot talk to my family or co-defendants because I'm trying to protect my family. And with the co-defendants, I'm not allowed to talk to them. And sometimes people don't know where the line is as far as what they can say and what they cannot say. So that comes up, right? Now, the bank was saying, or Thug said this, he was just like, sometimes people need to put themselves in other people's shoes to understand what you're going through, right? But Bank really held his own. He's just like, hey, why were you even talking about people? Like, what is that? And so Thug had to really think about his answers there. There were a lot of pauses. There were some tears too. I kid you not. There were some tears towards the middle, towards the end. There was all types of shenanigans. But, like they're trying to have a real conversation. They talked about untreated trauma, hurt feelings. Thug was saying that he felt betrayed by Gunna, especially, and I'll show you why. He talked about a lot of the legal aspects too. I was pretty surprised, and I thought it was an interesting conversation. I only kept my eye on this thing because I'm thinking about the song, and I'm thinking about Thug possibly violating his probation. That's what nobody wants to see that. Like, you're a free man. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see any probation violations. And the DA's office, the DA's office is watching him like a hawk. What was it in April? Fonnie was already trying to get his probation revoked. And, Judge Whitaker said no. Okay, let's start with Duke. Martinez Arnold was represented by Ashley Merchant. Ashley Merchant, friend to this channel, I interviewed her and we actually spoke a little bit about Duke's case. Now, if you don't remember, let's come back over here. So there was an incident, right? And this happened at Magic City, right? And basically, Duke from YSL or 30D, Duke was at Magic City and he was assaulted by Calvin Watts. You can see the image on the top right-hand corner. I don't know if you guys remember this video. If you watched the case with me, this was about that incident, okay? Arnold refused to cooperate in the investigation, okay? Shell Kell is on the bottom left, right? And Duke is on the bottom right. Now, remember, this comes from Operations Planters. So this is pretty much what the state thinks happened, right? They put together this document. They say that Duke raps on a YSL record label. He's a suspect in a shooting at a Midtown theater involving Young Thug. He's a shooter at Lenox Mall incident in 2013. He was present at Young Thug's house during the search/arrest warrant on 7/15/15. Now, this incident took place at Magic City. Now, in comes Yak Gotti. A few days later, after Arnold was assaulted at Magic City, he called Yak Gotti to assist in retaliatory shooting of IF gang members. Police attempted to conduct a traffic stop on a vehicle occupied with Arnold and Kendricks near their residence to Shell Kell. After short vehicle and foot pursuit, police apprehended both males. Police also recovered an assault rifle, handgun, mask, and bandana from the vehicle. During an interview, Kendricks confirmed their motive and intent. Now, when we talk about, and this is what I was showing you guys. I'm reading this. I'm showing it, and let me come up here. Man, I am so rusty, y'all. I apologize. This is what I was showing you. This is the document that they put together. So this is the incident at Magic City on the right-hand side. Duke is on the bottom right, and then you have Shell Kell on the left-hand side. Scrolling down, this is the description of the incident that I just read to you guys, right? So these two were together. The reason why it comes up with Thug is because Thug in this interview was saying that Duke took a plea deal, right? And Yak Gotti was ratting, right? But the difference between the two is that Duke did not say that YSL was a gang and that Yak Gotti was talking to the police about this incident. Now, the other thing is Thug did bring up Doug Weinstein. He said that he respects him, things like that. He brought up Doug Weinstein in the interview. And during that particular part where he brought him up, he said something like, he saw an interview with an individual that was asking Doug Weinstein some questions. And the person asked, hey, when people started taking plea deals, did it impact the case? And he was just like, oh, that's a dumb question. He's like, why? I couldn't believe the interviewer asked that. I said, let me go back to my interview and I talked to Doug and see if it was me. Definitely wasn't. So I'm in the clear here. But I had to go back just to double check. Anywho, these plea deals did impact the case a little bit. And I want to take a peek at all of them, right? Now, he also talks about the difference between Gunna because Gunna did have to say that YSL was a gang. Remember, the big legal strategy with all 6 of the defendants when the trial started was that YSL is not a gang because you have RICO. What is RICO? It is criminal, organized crime, racketeering. It's systematic gang activity, right? As I keep going through the story, we're going to talk a little bit about what he said about Woody. But again, I was just really surprised that all these things were being mentioned after the trial had ended. But again, this is the first time Young Thug has spoken out since the trial has concluded. Okay. So we talk about those two, we talk about those things. Now, I did actually pull one of the plea deals. Okay. And that is Duke's plea deal. It's right here. Now, Duke was represented by Ashley Merchant. So Thug wasn't lying when he says that, Duke never said that YSL is a gang, right? There's even a transcript. But I'm going to read this, right? Because this is his actual plea deal. It was executed on December 16th of 2022. This is Martinez Arnold, aka Duke, represented by Ashley Merchant. So here were the charges that he had. 2 of them. One was count 1, conspiracy to violate the RICO Act in Georgia. Count 2, or second count was count 57, participation in criminal street gang activity. His negotiated sentence for count 1 was 12 years to serve, 2 years commuted to time already served, balance of 10 years probated. Second one, for count 57, 10 years to serve, 2 years commuted to time already served, balance of 10 years probated, right? Now, this is what I was talking about for that first line in most of these plea agreements, and we'll go through them so y'all can see it. Special conditions of the sentence. Here's the first one. I, Martinez Arnold, will testify truthfully to all matters about which I am questioned, but reserve the right to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. In particular, I will testify that 1, I am a member of the Rolling Crips. 2, I became associated with or affiliated with YSL in the year of 2015 at the age of 27. 3, on October 1st, I was assaulted by members of a rival gang at a local club. After being assaulted, I called Diamante Kendricks, which is Yak Gotti, and armed with an AK-47 and a handgun, together we traveled towards Trestle Tree Apartments in Atlanta in search of a rival gang members that assaulted me. I pled guilty to participation and criminal street gang activity, conspiracy to commit it for my actions during this incident. And 4, on May 9th, 2022, I was present at the home of Young Thug when a search warrant was executed and police recovered drugs and guns. I do not claim ownership of those drugs and guns found by the police, right? Notice that you'll see MA, those are his initials, right? Now, this is the section where it talks about YSL. And this is what really screwed up Moongtunk and why Moongtunk was taken into custody, because he wanted one of these pieces removed, okay? Now, the state typically will draft this and work with defense attorneys to work through it. And I'm going to show you guys the last page because you can see that Ashley Merchant worked with the state on this particular document, but nowhere do you see it with a line that says YSL is a gang, okay? Pay attention to that. All statements below are truthful. Some YSL identifiers are wearing clothing with the words YSL or slime, wearing pendants displaying the letters YSL or the word slat. Okay, so Martinez Arnold agreed to that. One of the colors for YSL green is slime, MA, right? Martinez Arnold agrees to that. I've seen YSL members use one or more of the following hand signs: wiping of the nose with the index finger, curling the ring and pinky finger. Language that YSL members use to talk to each other are slat, which means slime love all the time, and calling each other slime. Symbols that YSL uses are green hearts and a green snake. If I violate this plea agreement, the district attorney can and will use this statement during any judicial proceedings. Any violation of this plea agreement may result in the remainder of my sentence being revoked, and the DA will recommend that I serve my remaining portion of my sentence in jail, right? No promises, no agreements or conditions have been made other than what you see in this document, blah, blah, blah. He signs it, right? He signs it, Ashley signs it, and Miss Love signs it, okay? So you have both parties. You have the defendant himself, you have the defense attorney, and you have a representative from the state sign the deal, okay? That is what we're looking at. Why did I show you Duke's plea agreement? Because in the interview, Doug talked about Duke's plea agreement being a little bit different from the other people that have pled out. Now, with Yak, he was talking about if Yak were to sign something like this, he would have to testify against Martinez Arnold, so against Duke in the trial if Duke took it to trial. Duke pled out. Okay, so that's just some clarity there. Let's get to Gunna, because the next part of the interview, we spend the majority of the part, this part talking about Gunna and Gunna accepting a plea deal. Now, I really wanted to find Gunna's plea deal, but there was not enough time to pull it. What I did find is Gunna's statement released through Steve Sadow, who is his defense attorney. Both Ashley and Steve are amazing defense attorneys. They were involved in the YSL, sorry, not YSL, the Trump RICO case in Georgia as well, ironically bought on by one Fonnie Willis. Let's take a look at Sergio Kitchens, Gunna, his immediate press statement after accepting the plea deal. He says, when I became affiliated with YSL in 2016, I did not consider it a gang. Pay attention to that. More like a group of people from Metro Atlanta who had common interests and artistic aspirations. My focus of YSL was entertainment, rap artists who wrote and performed music that exaggerated and glorified urban life in the Black community. While I have agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be a witness for or against any party in the case, and have absolutely no intention of being involved in the trial process in any way. I have chosen to end my own RICO case with an Alford plea and end my personal ordeal by publicly acknowledging my association with YSL. An Alford plea in my case is the entry of a guilty plea in order to, a guilty plea to the one charge against me, which is in my best interest, while at the same time maintaining my innocence towards the same charge. I love and cherish my association with YSL Music and always will. I look at this as an opportunity to give back to my community and educate young men and women that gangs and violence only lead to destruction. Okay, so we have that. That is Sergio Kitchens. That is Gunna's immediate statement after he took his plea deal. Okay, so he pled out very early, and Thug kept saying that he was the first one to plead out. Now, what are you pleading to? Gunna did say that YSL is a gang. That's why I wanted to pull the document, because we would have seen that, but his initials would have been next to that. I did find the courtroom footage where he did agree to it. Adrian Love asked him the question, is YSL a gang? And he said, yes, ma'am. So I can understand where Thug is coming from, but again, I'm only here to talk about the legal parts and show you guys the legal receipts, okay? So Gunna put this statement out, but also in this statement, he did say that I did not consider it a gang, more like a group of people from Metro Atlanta who had common interests and artistic aspirations. That's the first line in this press statement. This is a press release. That's where I got it from. That's the first line that he says. Why is he leading with that? Well, dear viewer, it's because of this clip. Let me remove this. Here we go. It's because of this clip. This is Gunna, and you could tell, like you could see Judge Glanville, I think that's Simone Hilton on the side. He must be out of view, but I'm going to rewind it so you guys can hear it for yourself. he actually did say, um, he actually did say, yes, ma'am, YSL is a gang. Adrian Love is standing reading this. So let's check this out real quick. Just listen.
Affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
Chat. So is Thug wrong? It's on video. He said it. So a big part of this is talking about their feelings, like unrequited or just like feelings that are unresolved, right? The host does a great job at talking about untreated trauma, people that grow up in urban communities and go through street life like it's tough, you know? Thug mentioned that he felt betrayed. He felt really betrayed by that statement because the people that did stay on trial, the big line of defense, the number one line of defense, because everybody had count one, which was RICO, was YSL is a gang. And we have Adrian Love's opening statement too to look at that, because the state is really pushing that it is a gang. Now, Georgia's RICO laws are very broad. Me and Ashley talked about that when I brought her onto the channel, a little bit of Doug Weinstein. So I might do like a recap video for you guys so you can see all of this cohesively together. But their RICO laws are very broad. Now, he says he felt betrayed by that statement. He was the first person to plead out, and Gunna was pleading out by also agreeing that he was number two in this alleged YSL gang, organized crime thing. So it was very interesting to see so much of the interview focused on that, and, you know, kind of just talking about their relationship as a whole, how Thug bought his first apartment, how they spent a lot of time together, things like that. So you really get the perspective of what it was like from being in his shoes. Now, does that, like when you look at the rat allegations in the song, that gets a little crazy, right? Because it's one thing for freedom of speech and rap lyrics used as evidence, but we know from this DA's office, they absolutely will use rap lyrics as evidence. They absolutely will. And they are watching. They are watching very closely. That's why I, had an interest in the interview, just as far as like probation violation. They already tried to come for Thug before. I hope they don't again, but with situations like this, it's crazy. Now, Andrew says, Gunna told on them boys. I mean, it's on tape. I try to find the plea deal myself. But man, let's just say that that's not good. Then Thug transitions to Woody. And, at first it was fine because the host asked him, hey, these other guys took plea deals. And Woody, didn't have a plea deal. What's the deal with that? And he talked about how Woody was an unindicted co-conspirator, right? But he had immunity. So that's why he was able to say some incriminating things on the stand without facing any charges, things of the like, right? It changes a little bit because further in the interview, he starts saying that the whole case started because of Woody. I'm going to walk you through that document that we were looking at first, so you can see how the state also agrees that it started with Woody. And they walked through the whole thing. And Thug actually went through a lot of the facts, that it started with Peanut and the chain, and Woody stole the chain, did not realize that it belonged to Nut, called Nut, said, hey, some boys took your chain, even though it was me. I have it. Do you want to meet me and you can get it back? So Woody was trying to give it back. Now, Thug knew about that situation, was also cool with Nut, but they had phone records that Thug and Nut had spoke that day, right? The day of his murder. The whole thing is just crazy. But when you say it started because of Woody, well, now Woody enter Woody. Woody answers the chat. It gets crazy. It gets crazy. Thank you so much that somebody does have his plea deal. But yeah, so the focus on Woody gets wild. And Woody has also been on the interwebs talking about what Thug's been doing. And he's been going live a little bit more. I think he's going to go live later today and talk about the situation. But the last I heard, Woody had reacted to Thug calling him a rat in the song. It's like, whoa, where's that coming from? So you have that coming out. Now, at the same time, Woody also had a really bad accident last week. You know, a lot of people were worried about him. But also to that end, because we're talking about Woody, sending some prayers his way. I'm going to share this. He did an interview on, I think it's Fox 5 Atlanta, and he talked about his accident. So that's where we left off with Woody. But let's check that out real quick.
When I looked at it and I seen everybody with their phones out, I was like, wow, you feel what I'm saying? That's what today came to. And nobody called for help. I seen the look in the police eyes. They had more sympathy for me than whoever had their phones in their hand.
Well, it's an accident that left involving a dirt bike that left musician Lil Woody lying in the middle of the street until someone came and picked him off the ground. The musician, who gained notoriety during the YSL RICO case in Fulton County last year, survived with stitches and has a lot of pain. Now the artist says he won't make music anymore because of the state of the industry. He sat down with Fox 5's Judea Murray to explain why and discuss what he learned from testifying during the Young Thug trial.
Before we get there, pay attention to that part, because at first it seemed okay with the interview, right? It's a 3-hour interview. Thug just lightly mentioned Woody. I didn't even think he was going to go down that path again. And when he did, when he was kind of shading him, you know, saying that everything started because of Woody, Woody was talking to police officers, kind of sharing what happened, trying to get out of it. He was just like, you know, I took care of him and his family and I sent them somewhere else, you know, to keep him safe from all these street dudes. And, you know, like he started to really, really go into how he feels betrayed by Woody as well. But he's just like, you know, Woody has changed his life. So I have a different level of respect for that. He's staying out of the streets. And, you know, like Woody's going through a lot right now. I think he has a baby on the way too. So to see all this happening, it just got really crazy. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing when Doug was talking about it. But let's go back to this because Woody has a pretty interesting perspective here.
From taking the stand in the YSL trial to silly dances on TikTok, rapper Lil Woody has grown his following since 2024 to over 1 million people. But one thing you won't see the rapper doing anytime soon, making new music.
100K, hit the club, I do a dub up.
Kenneth Copeland, whose stage name is Lil Woody, was supposed to be the star witness during the Young Thug trial.
I recall. I'm sorry, I don't recall.
But despite a 2015 video of him speaking with police detectives, Woody received some praise for his testimony, or lack thereof.
You asked me that? I like the thought that you and Kel have been in. I have lied. I made things up. I have got my life together. Man, y'all piss me off.
Woody sat down with Fox 5 outside the Peace Tower at Freedom Park this week to discuss how he has been working to do better since getting off the stand in August of last year.
Sammy, I had no control. I was just, like somebody would just push me in the back and I was just going. I was afraid. I ain't know who was who. I just knew that, you know, I'm gonna do whatever to protect myself. Going through that process, I didn't trust the state. I didn't trust the defense. I didn't trust nobody. That's why I take my life more serious now. And, you know, I hold myself accountable.
Woody has since disavowed gang violence. He wrote a book called Books Up, Guns Down, and he plans to make a documentary about his life. And while he does all that, he's working to keep kids out of gangs.
Walk away. You gotta tell yourself, okay, today I'm done. That's what I did.
Woody said walking away also means it ends his music career because of the state of the rap music industry.
Me personally, I don't want to put music out because they don't change the hip hop culture where they make you want to have to be a certain type of person to do music.
Woody says the industry pushes musicians towards gang life and getting street cred, something he wants to see change.
Once they get the music scene back on where it need to be, I rather support those, you know what I mean, and let the kids know that you ain't got to be a violent person to be a rapper, you know, drug dealer to be a rapper, anything. You could be a educated graduate to be a rapper. You know, you can be whatever you want to be. You ain't got to uphold that image. So, me personally, I won't be doing music.
So he's out. He's out of the game. And Thug acknowledged that, but he also mentioned that Woody might have some like mental issues. So it just got crazy. Like I was surprised that he went in on Woody like that and basically saying that the entire case started because of him. But again, like Doug said, you got to put yourself in other people's shoes. So as I'm coming back to this is that document I was showing you guys that kind of talks about the state's rendition of the case, operations planners, and how it started and all of those things, right? They talk about Young Thug, they talk about Birdman, they talk about Rich Homie Quan, all that. But is he wrong when he says that Woody started it? Because it is it's like one of the first pages in the state's rendition of the case. Like literally. It says the beef between Woody and Shell Kel is what fueled the ongoing beef. So the state said that too. I mean, they did. It's just wild. You know, that at least that's what fueled the beef, right? So they responded to a bunch of shootings, things of the like. Says Woody was assaulted while flashing a large sum of cash in Club Crucial by Shell Kel and other IF gang members. This incident escalated the ongoing feud. Through their investigation, it was discovered a drive-by shooting happened. This studio is frequented by IF gang members and rappers. Through statements obtained through other suspects, it was learned that the shooter in this incident was Lil Woody. Right. Then Peanut was shot and killed a few days later. Right. And we talked about that a little bit. We talked, you know, his funeral happened, all those things. Jeffrey Williams funded a trip for YSL members to Miami. This is what he was mentioning, like keeping everybody safe or keeping Woody safe. It was said that Williams wanted to get his people out of Atlanta. I don't like the words that they're using, but this is Nut's funeral, things of the like. They just talk a little bit more about IF gang and the threats against Young Thug and other YSL members, more shootings, things of the like. You know, so this is like some real stuff. These are people's lives, right? So, anywho, YSL being a gang is the big part of these plea deals that are really important for people to recognize, right? Because Thug wasn't wrong when he talked about that was a good legal strategy. It really was, you know, and I want to show you because if they all stayed on par, right? Because the indictment, the first thing that the indictment talks about is number one, it is violation of the RICO Act in Georgia, okay? Look at all these charges. Look at all the people that were on here. Look at all of the charges. And those are put together, but there are so many different people that have different charges that are not assigned to everyone. Right? And you could see that. I think I used to show you guys at the top, right? You have this one person and this person has counts 1, 15, 25, 26, 28, 31, 97 to 102. Does everybody have that? No, some of them don't have it, right? Now, I think this is on the other side for the other boys, but not the YSL guys. But it just goes to show when you think about it, it's very, very different. And I keep forgetting to screen share, but here's what I was just looking at, right? Like you look at one person's name, and if you scroll underneath, this person just has count 1, right? Bloody J, he just has the RICO one, right? So that's how you get to where we are. But the important thing is to understand like everybody's plea deal is different. All of those things are different. So why don't I show you another plea deal? Okay. This is going to be around the time that everybody started accepting them. So we can go to, I think Slime Life Shorty would be a good one to look at because he was in Thug's song. And I don't know if he said that he was a rat in general, but that's the Arnold plea. Sorry, there's so many documents back here, y'all. Let me find one for you. Okay, here we go. I found it. All right, so this one's Slime Life Shorty. The interesting thing about these is that the ones that took plea deals early on, they give you a transcript as well. So this is Wooney Lee, Slime Life Shorty. He accepted a plea deal. All of this is going to be, it's like 46 pages. It's the transcript of the proceeding. What I want to show you is the final pages where he does have to admit that YSL is a gang. I wonder if he actually signed it and said that. Yes, so Wooney Lee. It's right here. This is why I wanted to look at all of them, guys. Wooney Lee, right? Defendant's acknowledgments. Number 1, YSL, otherwise known as Young Slime Life, is a gang, right? The identifiers are wearing a green or red bandana, wearing clothing with the words YSL or slime, wearing pendants displaying the letters YSL or the word slat. Some colors of YSL are red for bloods and green for slime. YSL uses different hand signs. Some of the language that they use are blat, slat, calling Cleveland, Bleveland, calling each other blood or slime. I'm aware that members and associates of YSL have committed at least one of these acts in the name of YSL: murder, aggravated assault, robbery, theft, and illegal firearm possession. So Wooney Lee signed these things. He initialed their factual acknowledgments. He also says, I'm remorseful for participating in this type of activity. Gang life destroys the lives of young people, and I no longer want to participate in this type of activity that destroys the lives of our youth and my community. Man, who drafted this? If I violate this plea agreement, the DA can and will use a statement during any proceedings, and I'm subject to being resentenced to the maximum sentence allowed by the law for each charge to which I am pleading guilty, right? So Wooney Lee signed this in December of 2022, along with his attorney, 2 attorneys, and Miss Love. She signed it as well. So that's why it was fascinating to me as Thug was talking about these plea deals, because he's right. Some of the early people that took these plea deals, not Duke, but Wooney Lee did say that YSL is a gang, all right? He's a young kid, but he did sign, and he he attested to YSL being a gang. So that's one of them, right? And Wooney Lee, I don't know if you guys remember, was the reason why we had a mistrial. He was the reason why this whole case went down in a mistrial. So it is interesting, to say the very least, okay? So let me pull up another one. That was Wooney Lee's. I'm going to take this down for a second while I find the next one. But that's Slime Life Shorty. Then in October, we had all of a bunch of the people start taking their plea deals, like Little Rod, right? Do I have his original? I don't. We had Little Rod's, we had Huey's with factual acknowledgments as well. But I don't think that Huey had to admit that YSL was a gang. I got Obama's. Did not have to admit that YSL was a gang. Yeah, what it is the people that pled out early had to admit that YSL was a gang. And that also included Antonio Sledge. All right. I want to pull up Young Thug's, because this is another big part of his interview, and he explained it well. He talked about why he ended up making the decision to plead out, right? His plea is a little bit different. He talked about not wanting to admit that YSL was a gang. And that's why it took like 2 days to negotiate his plea, right? He was not going to admit that. at all. And I don't think any of the other guys did either that took it that week. Not Huey's, not Nichols, and some of the others. But the early people that took plea deals did have to sign and attest to that. Thug just wanted to take responsibility over the things that were found in his house, the drugs, the guns, that sort of stuff. Because Brian Steele, excellent legal strategist, talked to him about it like, hey, listen, there's no workaround that. Even if you go back with Yak and you go back with Shannon and you guys are the final three on the case, the jury still has to decide on that. There's no way to get around the fact that you have those things and they were found in your house, right? So you can go, but the jury will probably likely have to, look at you like you're guilty. They might have to vote guilty. So Thug, and this is interesting because that was the first time, I've heard it from him, but this is also the first time he's talked about the case, but he talked about what went through his mind and why he decided to risk it, go to Judge Whitaker and see if she would be open to a release, right? This is the final deal that Thug got, and it is a non-negotiated plea, all right? Many of you guys have seen this before, but I just wanted to scroll down and look at it again. So what exactly what were the charges and what did he plead guilty to? So the RICO, he pled nolo, right? Unlawful for a person who occupied a criminal street gang position of the organizer, like basically he was the leader of the gang. He pled nolo to that. He did plead guilty to conducting criminal activity. He did plead guilty to the Controlled Substances Act, right? So it looks like these are all the drugs. You have 1, 2, 3 drug charges. He pled guilty to those. Possession of a firearm, he pled guilty to that. And then use of a machine gun, sawed-off, shotgun, or silencer during the commission of a crime, he pled guilty to that. Now, this is all time served that he got credit for, 5 years to serve backloaded, 20 years served 5 backloaded, 15 years probation, 5 years served, 5 years to serve, 5 years to serve backloaded, things of the like. Now, here's the sentence summary for Thug. The defendant is sentenced for a total of 40 years with the first 5 years in prison commuted and to time served, followed by 15 years on probation, followed by 20 backloaded years in prison. Upon successful completion of the full 15 years of probation, the backloaded portion of the sentence will be commuted to time served. So he has 15 years of probation, right? 20 years backloaded, but he's going to get the 5 years time served, but the 15 years probation. So all of that is there. These are the special conditions. Now, the reason why I was concerned with the song is because these are the conditions of his probation. After 48 hours, the defendant shall stay away from the metro Atlanta area, right, for the first 10 years of his probation, subject to the following exceptions. So he can come in to attend a wedding, funeral, or graduation from high school, college, graduate school, blah, 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 medical emergencies of family members, things of the like. Defendant may enter Atlanta for up to 24 hours prior to any event listed above and must leave Atlanta within 48 hours of such event. Next, during each year of his probation, defendant shall enter the Atlanta area and shall make a live anti-gang and anti-gun violence presentation 4 times a year at local schools. The presentation may include a benefit concert. These presentations may count towards his community service hours. So you see stuff like that. During each year of his probation, defendant shall perform 100 hours of community service. He shall not knowingly have contact of any kind or character with any other member of or associate of a criminal street gang who are not a member of the defendant's immediate family, including but not limited to each of the named individuals charged in the indictment, with the exception of his biological brother and Sergio Kitchens, for as long as defendant and Mr. Kitchens are contractually obligated, except as necessary for lawful business of his musical career. Now that's funny. I didn't know that. I did not know that at all, guys. So it appears, because they did ask him in this interview if he would be willing to sit down with Gunna and talk about everything, right? Because Gunna, allegedly spoke to the big bank guy and mentioned like, I got nothing but love for Thug. I don't have any problems with Thug, right? Now, I did not know that Thug cannot speak to anybody else in the indictment. He can't even talk to Woody. Okay, he can't. What? Woody's not in the indictment, so actually he can't. He can't talk to anybody else that he was indicted with. The 28 co-defendants. He cannot speak to them. But it appears that he can speak to Gunna, and I wonder if that's why they were hoping to get these guys to sit down and talk to each other and squash the beef. Shout out to Viva Wood Live. Hits me with 100. Says, I can't stay long. However, I couldn't see you streaming this fine Sunday and not show love. Keep thriving, AB. Hashtag trust. Yeah, I'm coming down to your neck of the woods soon. I'm going to Vid Summits in Dallas. So thank you so much, Viva Wood Life. Really appreciate it. If y'all could do me a favor and type Viva in the chat. This is a quick one for me, guys. I just really wanted to look at some of the items that we're mentioning in this interview about snitching and talking about these plea deals and who pled guilty to what, who said YSL was a gang and who didn't. Right? He even talked about Moontook and how Moontook got played where, he was trying to take certain things out of his plea deal. And they said, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. They don't do it. He signs it and they put him back in jail. It's crazy. So, but originally Moontook was one of those people that accepted a deal and he did have to sign it by saying that YSL is a gang. It's a big part of their defense, YSL, saying that it's not a game. It's perfect legal strategy. It's really good legal strategy. But looking at this, I had no idea that he is allowed to speak to Gunna, but it does say that they have to be contractually obligated. So if they have if that has something to do with business and music, then they can speak. So if it's lawful business of the music career, then they can speak. So the door is open, but I don't know if they're going to walk through it. I really don't. Next, in the event any provision of this special condition is determined to be void or enforceable, such determination shall not affect the sentence or the remainder of the special conditions, which shall continue to be enforced to the fullest extent permitted by law. Next, Thug in no way shall promote any criminal street gang, including on social media platform. Okay, I don't think he's been doing that. Next, defendant shall not utilize any hand signs, terminology, or language that promotes or represents any criminal street gang directly or indirectly. See, now this is where I don't know, like we would really have to look at this song to see what he's saying here. I mean, I don't know. I got really concerned when the song dropped. I'm not even going to hold you guys. I was more concerned about the song as a violation of probation than the actual interview, right? So that's why I wanted to take a peek at this again and just see like what he had, what they have on him, and go from there. Next, defendant shall not participate in any criminal gang activity. Defendant shall not knowingly engage in any form of contact with the victims listed in the Fulton County indictment. I doubt he'll do that. Or with any member of their family or household except through legal counsel. Next, defendant shall have neither in his possession or within arm's reach of his person a firearm of any sort during the time that the defendant remains under the sentence. So he can't have any guns. It shall be solely defendant's responsibility to ensure that no person in his immediate presence is knowingly in the possession of a firearm of any sort. So he can't be around people with guns. With the sole exception being licensed law enforcement officers and licensed security personnel that compromise the defendant's personal security detail or comprise the personal security detail of the music artist with whom the defendant is performing. So he can have security officers that are strapped, but they need to be licensed. Defendant shall not violate no laws of any governmental unit of the state of Georgia or in any state or territory or in the United States. Geez, Fanny. Defendant may transfer probation out of state. He may retain his passport and may travel freely out of the state and outside of the U.S. for the defendant's lawful business of his music career. And defendant shall submit to random drug screens and shall abstain from the use of any drug not prescribed by a licensed doctor. Defendant shall execute a Fourth Amendment waiver to permit the search of his person. So he has to go through searches. And that's really it. That is Thug's deal. So notice there's not any admission of saying that YSL is a gang. And they were really, really adamant on doing that. At one point, he said that Fonnie was just like, we'll take everything away. The only thing that I want you, Thug, to admit to is that YSL is a gang. She was very hard pressed on that. Why? If you think about it, that is the third RICO case in Fonnie Willis's career in the state of Georgia that she's bought, right? It's a broad law. So think about it. Nobody has been convicted, right? Taxpayer dollars, huge waste of time. If she takes that L, and then the Trump RICO case is still not closed. It's still not closed. Y'all remember that? That case is crazy. That was last year, 2024, beginning of the year, January. I think it was right around like February. It started to get a ton of attention. And that's when we learned about the Nathan Wade stuff. Case was put on ice and then went up to appeal. The appeals court heard it. And we haven't heard anything since then. So it's wild. It's wild. But yeah, guys, this is a quick little stream for me. I wanted to get on here and not necessarily react to the clips because, you know, again, I respect content creators. Shout out to the Big Facts Network. You know, like they have amazing production and it was good to actually book Thug for the first interview that he was doing. So I didn't want to compromise their content and show it to y'all again. I recommend that you check it out. I am going to put the link in the description box so you can take a peek at it. But if you think about what we're talking about with these plea deals, you can see what would happen. I mean, and I mean, I'm going to give Thug this one. Gunna did say that YSL was a gang. He did. And in the press conference, the press release, he said that he didn't consider it a gang. And that was to soften the blow. But he did say it. So when Thug talks about his betrayal, he cried, you know, like they're close. I don't know. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Thanks again to Viva Woodlife. Thank you to Kelly Kell, who was like, what's the tea? I just wanted to pop on here real quick. Drew Beats popped on as well. Thank you for that one. Cheryl Ann became a new member. Welcome, welcome, sis. You're going to love it here. Mango Gelato, been with me for 13 months. Thank you. She says, I'm happy for this Sunday live. My only day off. Yeah, I usually don't go live on weekends, y'all. And right now I got this really big project for Vid Summit that I'm getting ready for. So I've been heads down. We did the Cardi B reaction last week. I was probably one of the only people that caught it live. So I'm really happy that we did that. There's some news on Y&W Bortland, news on Relly. Courtney Clanny finally got a court date. We've been waiting for that one forever. Cardi B's gonna sue Joe Budden. That's coming out soon. But that is what we have in our backlog for weekend content. Shout out to Sweet Southern, who says his bro Unfunk admitted YSL's a gang. The difference. Yes. He did talk about this too, Sweets, or JJ. Thank you. He was saying how they talked about their upbringing a lot. He talked about a lot of his upbringing that I had no knowledge of. But he talked about how his brother is refusing to snitch. But he also, you know, told his brother to take the plea. So the contradiction between telling somebody to take a plea versus other people taking a plea and the criticisms that come along with that has been a huge topic of discussion. Everybody's been talking about that particular part right there. And Big Bank, you know, he kind of, or Big Facts, he like really stood on him on that one. Like, what's the difference between the two? So that was a big part of the discussion as well. But thank you, Sweet Southern. Shout out to 2 Minute Approved, gifting 20 memberships. Thank you. I'm trying to jump out. You're trying to keep people here. If you got a membership from 2 Minute Approved, please say thank you. Really appreciate you growing our community as we do. But a rat's a rat. A rat's a rat. But a rat's a rat. That's right. I mean, everybody's talking about that particular part. Is a rat a rat? But at the same time, the conditions when we're talking about ratting, right? It's like you either don't say something to law enforcement or you do. That has been the understanding with many people. You either don't say something or you do. It doesn't matter the conditions if you do, but you did. So a lot of people are kind of standing where JJ is on that one, you know? I'm Sarcastic says, hey, cousins. Hey, hey. So Sweets is coming in with the tea right now. This is the other thing. She says, did you hear Mariah's leaving him because of the phone call that was released earlier today? Young Doug cut out a statement begging. Yes, I did hear this. So another jail phone call was, dropped. And I did say this at the beginning. Mariah the Scientist is, number one, super beautiful. She has been, helping him with a majority of these things, like the backlash, all of that. She seems like a sweet girl. She has been riding for him throughout this entire process of him being in jail. Now, a jail phone call was released where he was speaking to another woman. Okay. And I don't know if it's super confirmed that Mariah is leaving him, but he issued an apology like immediately on his Twitter. And it's like, Doug, why are you tweeting? Just put the phone down. Just put it down. Like, just stop. Just put it down. Somebody take his phone away. Just take his phone away. Stop tweeting. Oh, like if I was on his team, if I was his PR person, I'd be like, everybody take his phones, take any devices, take it away from him. Like, we will take pictures of you. We will post things for you. You do not need to be tweeting because it seems like it's just making it worse. It's so bad, JJ. It is so bad. But I appreciate you guys. Midnight says Unphonecast court this week, I think. Okay, we'll stay open to that. I don't know what YNW Bortland is doing if he decided to take the plea deal, but this week was actually supposed to be the start of the YNW Melly trial. I had my eyes on that all summer. Apparently, that was a bunch of BS, but they tried to keep this kid in jail till like 2027 or like a long amount of time, like 8 years since the incident took place. Bortland is a kid that was actually driving the car. So he was offered a plea deal, I think Thursday or Friday. So we're going to see what he decides to do. If he decides to take it to trial, and that trial will start this week. Melly's not in it because there was an issue that went to appeal, and then the appeals court was like, this is a waste of time. We're not going to take it. Then Melly just kicked off his lawyers. Now he's got a new set of attorneys. You can't make it up. Donna Adelson just got convicted, so I still need to do a video on that one. But there's a lot of things going on. Shout out to LVZ22 with the 2 says, hey, AV, where's the Cardi merch? Girl, it's up. I put it up. It's up. If y'all want the Cardi B merch, I have it. Let me go ahead and show you. You can go to avto7power.com. Let me show you where it's at. I'm going to show it to all of y'all. We just did the security heavy shirt, protecting buildings since 2018. You can pick this up now. It is unisex. Okay. I think I have if y'all want a discount code, just type in the code Cardi and you'll get 20% off. But this is for men or women, security heavy, protecting buildings since 2018. It comes in black, blue. We got maroon. It's about to be fall. So I got y'all with the military green. I got blush for my girls. Okay. We got it in heather mauve. These shirts are very comfortable. I love this material and I don't sell y'all bullshit. So this is a good shirt if you want to check it out. But yeah, you get that 20% off just because you reminded me, LVZ. But thank you so much. You can pick that up today. Go ahead and start the wrap up here. Shout out to D who gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much, D. Always there with me. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, D. Ari is the one who sent me this interview yesterday. She sent it to me on IG. I said, I need to watch that in the morning. I'm really happy that I did. Thank you, Ari. She's like, he need a gag order. Like, he just needs to stop talking. He just needs to stop talking. Thank you so much, Gloria. Hope you're enjoying church. This is Sunday, so a lot of y'all are doing your church thing. Mike says, man, watch out. No, that's right. That's right. All right, chat, I'm going to pop on out of here. Again, this is a nice little reminder of all the things that we went through with the YSL trial. I really do hope that Doug and Mariah, hopefully they stay together, they can fix it, but I really do hope that Doug stays off of the Twitter. Like, just take the Twitter away, at least the Twitter. Just take the Twitter away. Because I'm just starting to get a little bit worried about this probation thing. Because Fani, she's come for him already. And I know this DA's office is watching her. I know they are watching everything. So, all right, y'all, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll be back later this week with a ton of content. And then once my project is done, you'll see much more of me. But I have been really focused on that. So I'm going to pop on out of here. Y'all have a great Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Bye.